Alexa, stop.
Okay.
Alexa.
Well, it's two, so I guess why don't we go ahead and jump in? I'll go ahead and welcome everyone to the April APNA webinar. We really appreciate you being here, and we really appreciate Sarah Cook guiding us today. Hello, Sarah. How are you?
And thank you. I'm so
Good.
excited to be here with everybody. This is so exciting.
Good. Well, we really appreciate you sharing your wisdom. Sarah's with Nannies and Grannies, and what I'll do, Sarah, do you prefer to have questions throughout, or would you rather kind of hold them till the end?
If we can do them at the end, that might be great because I might cover some of the questions throughout the presentation. So if that's
Okay,
okay with you.
perfect. Well, if anybody has questions, they can put them in the chat box, and as we get to the end, I'll read them for Sarah. Okay, well, with that, Sarah, thank you again. I'll turn the floor over to you and let you go. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you, everybody. It's so nice to be here. Again, my name is Sarah Cook. I'm with Nannies and Grannies. I really appreciate you joining me today. I'm very excited to be here and talk about this topic because it's very close to my heart. I've poured a lot of time and efforts into building hotel childcare and tourism and being a preferred vendor in the city. It's a huge part of my life and a huge part of my business for a very long time. I'd also like to do a little disclaimer and honesty. I'm definitely not a professional speaker. I run a childcare agency and I'm much more comfortable talking to children and parents and sitters and hotel concierge. So if I stumble a little bit, please be patient with me. I'm doing my best and I do appreciate it. But I really want today to feel really practical and real. I don't want to give you a bunch of fluffy ideas that sound nice but don't really work in the real world. So I really want to share what's actually worked for my business. In this presentation, I'd really like to talk about how to build relationships with hotel concierge teams, how to become a trusted vendor, how to work with risk management departments, and how to create a strong vendor packet. I'd also like to cover how commissions work and relationship building works, and how to create a service model that hotels will actually want to recommend. Most people don't even realize that hotel childcare exists until they're checked into their hotel, they're dressed for dinner, and then they realize, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with the kiddos? And that's kind of where we come in. So Nannies and Grannies has been serving families since 1987. We're very proud of the reputation that we've built. We are a preferred vendor for many of the Las Vegas casinos, also trusted by professional sports teams and traveling families. But a lot of this trust did not happen overnight. It really was earned through consistency, safety, reliability, and years of showing up. Hotels definitely don't just recommend anyone. When a hotel or concierge refers your company, they're putting their own reputation on the line. So it's really important, to note that if your service goes badly, the guest doesn't just blame you. They also remember that the hotel recommended you. So that's why reputation really does matter in this industry. We are very proud of our accident-free track record. We've been in business for over 40 years, and we take that very seriously. In hotel childcare, safety is absolutely everything, but it's also about the service. It's not regular babysitting where someone just books a sitter down the street for a few hours. This is really hospitality childcare. Guests are traveling, and we have to put ourselves in the position of the guest and understand that they may be quite nervous. They're in a new city, a stranger is coming to watch their children whom they've never met before. So your service has to feel very professional from the first phone call to the final follow-up. We operate on a 24-hour hospitality model because Las Vegas is a 24-hour city. Guests may need your care in the morning, late at night, during a show, during dinner, or even last minute. And you really have to kind of have all hands on deck and be ready to respond to those needs. So basically, I wanted to give you a little history about my company's background. The company was founded by my dear mother. I miss her very much, and she taught me everything I know. She was an amazing businesswoman, and she, had a background as a geneticist. And my dad was a professional poker player. And when they moved to Las Vegas, they really enjoyed the city. They loved Las Vegas. They loved to go out and play cards and enjoy, all of the things that Las Vegas had to offer. But suddenly, when they had me, they realized that going out was not such a simple endeavor anymore. My mom kind of realized that she needed professional and reliable childcare, but it wasn't quite easy to find back in the 80s. My mom also started noticing a lot of families in the hotels and realizing that there was a real need, not just her, that could use this service. She noted that families were traveling to Las Vegas and they needed safe, reliable childcare so they could enjoy the city. So she kind of built the company in a very grassroots way. She would physically go to hotels, introduce herself to the concierge desks, and explain exactly what we did. Back then, there really wasn't as much red tape. It wasn't as corporate and didn't require as many corporate approvals, vendor packets, insurance requirements, and risk management departments to navigate. But now the process is a little bit more formal. Hotels refer companies they trust, and concierge refer providers that make them look good and don't create problems for them. So the paperwork does matter, insurance matters, pricing matters, but really relationships are still very much the foundation. Hotels are not just selling hotel rooms; they're really selling experiences. And I like to when I'm launching this division or was launching this division, I really tried to put myself in the position of the families, in the position of the hotels, in the position of my sitters, so that I could understand what it looks like from all angles. A family really doesn't come to Las Vegas or to your city to just sit in the hotel room. They come for the restaurants, the shows, the events, the pools, the shopping, the casino, the nightlife, and the overall experience. But if parents don't have childcare, their experiences become much more limited. They might skip dinner, they might cancel a show, they might stay in the room, and in turn, they will spend less money on the property that they're staying in. So childcare is not just a convenience, it's really part of the guest experience. When a hotel has a trusted childcare provider, they can offer their guests a solution to that. And it helps the family, it helps the concierge, and then it also helps the property. This is where the opportunity comes in for agencies. If you can show a hotel that your service, it helps guests enjoy their stay, spend more money, and leave happier, then you're not just offering babysitting. You're helping the hotel to sell a better experience. So again, back to that point that you're not just babysitting, you're really increasing guest satisfaction. You're really driving revenue for the property. You're supporting the concierge team and you're protecting their guests' experience. When parents feel comfortable, they can actually relax. When children are safe and entertained, parents can actually enjoy their evening. And when the concierge has a trusted company and business to recommend, their job becomes easier also. That's why I always say that you have to think of yourself as a hospitality partner, not just a childcare provider. If a guest has a wonderful experience with your sitter, they'll tell the concierge and they might, even leave a review. If they come back to the same hotel, they will look to book again. One booking can turn into a long-term relationship with the hotel that you're working with. So the goal is not just to complete the job. The goal is really to protect the experience from the beginning to the end. Hotels care a lot about liability, reliability, consistency, and the guest experience. So the first thing that they're thinking about is liability. They want to know that they are referring a safe and reputable brand. They want to know that you're insured. They want to know that your sitters are trained and certified, and they want to know what happens if something does go wrong. The second thing they care about is reliability. They want to know that your sitter will actually show up. They want to know that you'll actually answer the phone and that you can handle last minute, priority requests. The third thing is consistency. One booking looks great and is nice, but hotels need to know that you can deliver the same level of service over and over and over again. The fourth thing is the guest experience. The concierge doesn't want to hear that the guest was unhappy, confused, uncomfortable, or disappointed. So when you're speaking to the hotels, don't only talk about how much you love children, although that's very important, but it's not enough. You have to speak their language. You need to talk about safety, about your systems, about your insurance, about commission structure, reliability, and talk just about how you're going to protect their brand. Getting my foot in the door was definitely one of the hardest parts. My very first hotel relationship came from my mom and her grassroots marketing. She physically would go to the hotels and introduce herself. For me, many years later, many partnerships came from persistence. I contacted a lot of the risk management departments. I asked what the properties required to be a preferred vendor, and I visited the concierge desks. I introduced myself over and over and over again. You can't be afraid to show up. You have to have a face to your company. And it's very important to know who you're talking to. A lot of people make the mistake of only speaking to the concierge at the desk. You should absolutely be kind and friendly and approachable to everybody at the desk, but the frontline concierge may not be the person who can approve you. So it's really important to identify the chef concierge, concierge managers, hotel leadership, and vendor relations and risk management contacts. The concierge may like you, but they may not be approved to recommend you until someone higher up makes that approval. So your goal is really to build relationships at every level, but especially with the decision makers. And when you introduce yourself, you want to lead with what you're proud of. If you've worked large weddings, large events, hotels, sports teams, celebrity families, or anything that shows your credibility, definitely mention that because it's not bragging. It means that you're showing proof that other people trust you. I think it's really important too to if you have a chamber of commerce or concierge associations in your city to join those groups because a huge part of this is networking. And to show up to those meetings because you're going to meet a lot of the right people at those meetings. We have 2 concierge associations here in Las Vegas, and I stay really visible with those groups, and I go to all the mixers and events. And a lot of times they will let you, if you join a sponsorship program, they will let you speak at those events so people can get to know your brand and know exactly what you do. I did that before I was ever even approved through risk management because I wanted to get contacts for who the right people were to make those decisions. Another thing is you can't just show up one time. You can't just drop off a business card and expect referrals forever. You have to stay visible. Concierge work with a lot of different vendors. They have restaurants, transportation companies, florists, show vendors, tour companies, spa, nightlife, and many more. They aren't going to memorize your rates or remember every single detail about your business the way that you know it. So it's important for you to stay on the top of their mind and send updates. We send updates often. We send holiday reminder updates. We send newsletters. We remind them when big events are coming up. And we always make sure that they have current pricing. If we're on holiday rates, we tell them ahead of time. If there's a major event in the city, we let them know exactly what to expect. And this helps them answer their guest questions with confidence. The key is to do it simply. I don't recommend sending like a 10-page email. Just give them exactly what they need. Also, the turnover at these properties is real. Concierge departments change often. Managers change, risk management contacts change. A hotel that said no 2 years ago may say yes later because a new person's in charge. So if someone says no, don't disappear forever. Stay professional, keep visible, and keep showing up. A lot of my partnerships were really made because I did not give up at the first no. Your vendor packet. This is probably one of the most important pieces of documentation that you will give a hotel concierge team or risk management department. Your vendor packet should include your licensing, insurance, pricing, service descriptions, contact information, and any major credibility points. But it definitely should not be overwhelming. This is not the place for you to write your entire life story, your business background. They don't need a novel. They just need to quickly understand who you are, what you offer, why you're safe, and how to book you. Your first impression really matters. If your packet looks messy, outdated, confusing, or too long, it sends a message. But if it's clean, organized, and professional, it tells them that you run a professional operation. Your vendor packet also needs to be email friendly. It sounds small, but it really matters. If your file's too large, they won't receive it. If it takes too long to open, they won't even bother. If it's too much to read, they'll set it aside and forget about it. I recommend keeping it under 3 MB, and it should have about a 2-minute readability. This means if somebody can open it, skim through it quickly, and understand all your points, they'll be happy. So keep it simple, keep it clean, and keep it useful. You want them to think, wow, this company is really easy to work with. That impression before they ever refer you to a single guest. Your risk management is often where the real approval happens. The concierge may love you, but if risk management says no, you're not getting approved. So you have to be prepared. You should have general liability insurance, abuse and molestation coverage, workers' compensation, and the ability to provide custom COIs for each property that you work with. Every property may have different requirements. One hotel may be asking for $1 million in coverage, another might be asking for $3 million. Another may be asking for auto coverage, cyber coverage, or additional insured language. So you need to keep lists of what each property requires because they're not all the same. But you also shouldn't be afraid to have a conversation. For example, if a hotel tells you that you need auto coverage, but your sitters don't actually transport children in their own personal vehicles, make sure that you explain that. We don't allow our nannies to drive tourist children in their own personal cars. So if a family wants an outing, they have to provide money for a taxi or Uber or other transportation. Sometimes risk management is not trying to block you. They're really just trying to safely figure out how to say yes to your brand. So stay calm and be professional and ask exactly what they need. But also make sure that your insurance requirements make financial sense because you still need to protect your profit margin. You're not doing all of this work to lose money. So you need to make sure that it works for your ROI. Trust is really built before your sitter ever even walks into the room. So you definitely need protocols that make the hotel happy. The parent feels safe, the parent feel like it's a safe service, and the sitter feels safe and informed. We use release of liability waivers, especially for outings, and we clearly explain that our sitters don't drive children in their own personal vehicles. We also document everything, even if it seems something small, a bump or a scratch or anything unusual, it always gets documented. That protects the family, the child, the sitter, the agency, and the hotel. We always have our sitters reach out to the family after they're assigned. They introduce themselves, confirm the booking details, review allergies, special needs, routines, bedtime instructions, screen time preferences, and any other important information. We also send out sitter profiles, a good wholesome photo, their credentials, any of their certifications like CPR, childcare experience, and training details help to make the hotel and the parents feel much more comfortable. The more unknowns that you remove, the more trust you create. Commissions can be an important part of hotel and concierge relationships. We typically offer about a 10% commission structure on eligible referrals, and that can be a really great way to reward your concierge team for sending business your way. It's really important to use a system to stay really organized and have each property and their commission structure organized so that you can keep up on track with that and you have a consistent payout schedule. They don't want to get their commissions 1 month and then have 3 months go by and you say, oh, I think I owe you something. So you need to stay organized and send those commissions out in a timely manner based on the scheduling that casino is expecting. We also understand that relationship building is not just monetary. Sometimes we have to spoil the concierge a little bit. I'll share a little anecdote with you. During Easter, we always go around to the concierge desk with baskets. We actually put on bunny ears and we bring little specialty gifts and we make it fun. Is it a lot of work? Yes. And we look a little ridiculous walking through the casino in bunny ears, but it does make people remember us. We also bring treats. Sometimes we bring branded phone chargers, pens, small giveaways, snacks, and other useful items. Food is always helpful. Nobody's mad at you when you show up with good food. So we often do hosted catered luncheons for our concierge teams. We go down, we feed them, we thank them, and we really remind them that we truly appreciate their referrals. Sometimes it's hard if you're, in sales to always want to sell, but sometimes it's not, the point is not to sell. It's just about to be present and show your appreciation for their recommendations. We also keep our rate sheets updated, send all those holidays reminders at these events, so that they do have, current information. Concierge really don't want to guess your pricing, so it's very important that your pricing is consistent and sent to them regularly so they don't have to remember every detail. Our goal is to make the concierge jobs easier and to give them simple information. A really simple strategy that's worked for us really well is that we always CC the concierge on confirmation emails that we have booked a sitter for that guest at that property. This does a few things for us. First of all, it lets the concierge know that the job was actually booked. And second, it shows them that the guest received a professional confirmation. And third, it reassures them that we're handling the referral properly. Fourth, it becomes free marketing. If that confirmation email goes to a generic concierge email address, now the whole department sees it. They see our name again and again and again. They see the sitter profile and they see that we're active, we're organized, and professional. It becomes a quiet reminder that says Nannies and Grannies is here, we're working on your bookings, and we're taking really good care of your guests. You don't want to be annoying and send them too much, but you definitely want to stay present. It's one of those small systems that doesn't cost any money to keep your company in front of the concierge teams without having to constantly send sales emails. It also builds a lot of trust. Marketing in this space is really relationship based. You really want to be easy to work with. That's one of the biggest compliments that the concierge give us. They know that we always answer the phone. They know that we solve problems quickly. We send confirmations. We communicate early, and we take care of their guests. And they definitely remember that. We started mainly with hotel childcare, but over time, concierge began asking us to do other things. They started asking if we could help with hotel pet sitting, if we could help with elder companionship, if we could pick something up for a guest. That's kind of how we grew into our other services. So the more problems that you can solve, the more valuable you become. Of course, you don't want to say yes to anything that you can't safely and professionally handle. But if there's a need, you can build, a service around it that can become an extra revenue stream for your company. Definitely listen to what the hotels are asking for. They'll be sure to tell you what they're, where the opportunities are. Your service has to be excellent. The sitter that you send out is the face of your company. The family may never actually get to meet you as the owner. They may never even actually get to talk to your office after the booking is done, or especially if it goes through the concierge. So their entire opinion about your business comes from the sitter who shows up at their hotel room. Your sitters need to understand it's not just a babysitting job, but it's hospitality. So if you have policy and procedure trainings that can go into sitters that you're sending to the hotels with what your expectations are, I highly recommend that. I also remind our sitters in these short, assignments that, your sitter may have one night with the children. It's not the time to come in and try to completely change the behavior of children or run the house, run the assignment like a long-term nanny position. Really, the goal for that type of booking is to create a safe, fun, memorable experience. And we really want the children to be the one to tell their parents, like, that was so much fun. Can the sitter come back tomorrow? That's where the magic lies. So we always send our sitters out prepared. They have an activity bag with age-appropriate games, toys, and activities, crafts, things like cards, bubbles, Play-Doh, puzzles, books, coloring, non-chokeable items, make sure that it's safe. But when the sitter walks in with that activity bag, it helps the sitter feel prepared. It gives the children something to engage with right away. And it also helps kind of reduce that awkward moment where people are like, oh, who's this stranger in my hotel room? So we always prepare our sitters. Outings are a huge request that we get, especially in Las Vegas, and it really can add to the guest experience. Sometimes parents have a little bit of guilt with, going out and enjoying Las Vegas and leaving their kiddos and wondering if they're going to have a good time. So we always offer outings at no additional charge. Families may want their children to go to the pool, arcade, a show, or another amenity. It helps the parents feel really good that knowing that their children are having a great time too. But the outings do come with a lot of responsibility, so the sitter instructions need to be quite clear. We always tell our sitters that children need to hold hands in public, that the sitter needs to keep an eye on children at all times, and that the children need to have clear expectations before ever even leaving the room. So we always have our sitters explain to the kiddos, we're staying together, we're listening, we're being safe, but if we can't follow the rules, we'll need to go back to the room. And then the sitter needs to feel empowered that she can make that call and end the outing, if she can't, keep control of the kiddos. If children are running or not listening, refusing to stay together, or the environment feels unsafe, the outing ends. No activity is worth risking safety. I always like to say if it stops being safe, it stops being fun. Specialized care is also a major opportunity. We offer newborn care specialists. We strongly recommend that for any infants under 1 year old. It's a premium service because it does require specialized training, experience, and confidence. But parents with newborns are always more nervous, and they should be because babies do require a different level of care. We also offer special needs care. That's really important because families traveling with children who have special needs often have a harder time, finding qualified help. And sometimes parents are even nervous to mention that they have a special needs child because they feel they might get turned down for care. So we make it very apparent that we do service special needs children. We also try to accommodate special requests when possible, including multilingual sitters because we have a lot of international tourism here in Las Vegas. We also, infant care, family preferences, pickups for courier items. We offer childcare, pet sitting, courier services, elder care as some of our premium services. Pet sitting is a really great service because people spend money on their pets. They often will spend more money on their pets than their children. And a lot of the hotels do have extra liability and rules for people that bring their pets to the hotel room. If the pet barks in a hotel room, the family can be fined or charged or even asked to leave. So a lot of times they will say, we don't allow you to leave the pet in a hotel room unsupervised. So here, call nannies and grannies and they can get you a certified pet sitter. Courier services have also been a great addition because people are traveling. They may need something simple, an item from Walgreens or prescriptions, maybe baby supplies, diapers, specialty items, car seats, something they forgot to pack, or luxury items. Las Vegas is very big on, shopping and designer purchases. And it's kind of almost like a luxury Instacart where maybe they wouldn't feel comfortable, booking that service through Instacart, but they know that they'll have a professional courier that will, go and get their Hermes bag and deliver it safely, with care. When you can solve these problems, you become even more than a childcare agency and it increases your revenue and you become a great resource. Your operations are really everything. If you want to work in tourism and childcare, especially in a city like Las Vegas, you have to be ready for last minute bookings. We're really well known for handling urgent requests, and that's one of the reasons why hotels like working with us. But rapid dispatch does take a lot of work. You have to have sitters who are flexible, you need office systems, you need fast communication, and you need a way to confirm details quickly, and you need a payment system that's ready to work. We operate with a 4-hour minimum for our reservations, and that protects the sitter and makes the booking worth their time. But we also do charge for rush fees when appropriate because last minute service is a premium service. So don't be afraid to charge for your availability because availability definitely has value. If somebody needs a sitter in 2 hours notice and you can make that happen, that's really not the same thing as having a booking made 2 weeks in advance. Reliability is one of the biggest reasons hotels will continue to refer you. If a sitter cancels last minute, you have to have a backup plan. That might mean having backup sitters. It may mean paying people to be on call. It might mean having someone in management ready to step in. And sometimes even as the owner, it may mean that you go yourself because you really simply cannot let these families down. Hotels are trusting you, the guests are trusting you, and the concierge has personally recommended you. A lot of people save up a lot and have big plans to come to Las Vegas. They have show tickets purchased, dinner reservations purchased, that they don't want to lose. So a no-show is not just a staffing issue; it's definitely a reputation issue. So we also make expectations to our sitters quite clear that no-shows are not acceptable, and that if they ever no-showed an assignment, that they would not be invited to work with us again. Um, we also send reminder confirmations to our sitters, especially when bookings are made far in advance. People get things, forget things, and calendars get messy. So those reminders kind of help prevent problems. These good systems really protect everyone. Your pricing. Your pricing is also important, but in this space, availability is often more important than being the cheapest. You're not always competing on price. You're competing on availability, reliability, safety, and professionalism. And when a family needs childcare right then and there, you're the company that answers the phone and can send someone professional. You're definitely in a premium position. That doesn't mean that you should overcharge or take advantage of people, but it means that you should definitely understand the value that you're providing. We also keep our bookings flexible and open-ended. So we book on a 4-hour minimum, but we are a 24-hour service model, and we do not require an end time. Las Vegas, is a gambling city. People may come, they may get on a good roll at the craps table, and they might not want to rush back to the hotel room. So we leave it open-ended because that flexibility really improves the guest experience. Your team definitely represents your brand, so sitters should definitely look professional, polished, and trustworthy. It doesn't necessarily mean that they need to look fancy, but they need to look clean and appropriate and safe. We really want our nannies to have a wholesome nanny appearance, like no distracting jewelry, no club style outfits, no heavy or inappropriate makeup, and closed-toed shoes. Punctuality is also non-negotiable. In this business, on time means early. We also have our sitters check in at the concierge desk at least 15 minutes before their assignment, so the concierge knows that they don't have to stress that the sitters arrived. If you have branded t-shirts, that can help because it makes the sitter look more professional and gives the family an extra sense of trust. Sometimes in hotels, they won't allow the sitter up to the room without a key card. So a lot of times families are meeting them in the lobby, and if your nanny has a branded t-shirt, they can easily recognize the nanny and know where to meet her. Um, so basically, at the end of the day, I just like to remind everybody that this is really hospitality. It's not just babysitting. You're really protecting the guest experience, and you're protecting the hotel's reputation. You're really a support to the concierge team, and you're creating a service that allows families to fully enjoy their trip. If you do this well, you'll definitely become more than a vendor. You'll become a trusted partner. My biggest advice is just to stay visible, stay professional, flexible, and keep building those relationships, and not to just give up after one no. Don't forget that the small things matter: confirmation emails, thank you notes, holiday reminders, the sitter profiles, bunny ears, the snacks, all of those follow-up calls, all of those things will add up over time. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, there were a few questions, so let me run through these real quick. One is, how do clients communicate with their assigned sitter throughout the sitting? Do you connect them via their personal phone numbers?
Yes, we do give out sitter contact information to our guests. We send it in an email confirmation, and then we always advise our sitters to reach out right when they receive the booking information, and then again the day of the booking. And then we also tell our sitters that they should be texting the family throughout the booking, pictures of what the children are doing, updates at bedtime, if they're comfortable, safe, had dinner, so the families can feel comfortable and hopefully enjoy extend their evening out and stay out many more hours.
Got it. Okay. And another question was, I assume you're paying the sitters. Do you encourage tipping?
We do encourage tipping. In all of our confirmation emails, we say that tipping is not obligated, but we highly suggest that they tip their sitters. 20% is common in the industry. I know sometimes, to piggyback on the first question, that agencies may be nervous to share their sitters' phone numbers. And I think that, for poaching reasons, and I think that it's important that you have good protocols and expectations with your sitters that, there's a prohibition to direct dealings agreement and that they should never be contacting any of these clients on their own for any reason. It needs to go through the agency.
Got it. Okay, another question says, I'm curious about logistics like parking, especially in areas where parking is a high cost. Some hotels charge flat fees of up to $75 to park in major areas. Does the client pay that to the sitter? Does the hotel give you a discount? Maybe you can expand on that.
That is a high parking fee, and sometimes for events we get those high parking fees. But our parking costs in Las Vegas are usually around $25, so we don't get a lot of pushback from clients covering that for their sitters. Not expect our sitters to pay out of pocket to go to work. So we do make that a requirement that the guests will cover their parking. Some properties that we work with, if they have higher parking charges, or we have an option to have them provide a chaser ticket for the sitter or comp it, that is always something that I would try to push for, so that the client doesn't have an extra expense and the sitter is still compensated. So, but yes, we do charge for parking.
Okay. Another question was, how do you determine pricing? They said my current hotel is a luxury hotel, but people are hesitant about the registration and plus the booking fee. Maybe you can expand a little bit on how you set your prices.
So I understand that Las Vegas has higher pricing in the hotel. And I think that usually customers are expecting a higher price tag when staying in a resort. Also, if your sitters are certified and you have trainings or extra things that you can back up your pricing model, safety, reliability, accident-free reputation, it's definitely okay to charge at a higher rate. I think it's also important to do research on other competitors in your city, see what they're charging. That doesn't mean that you have to undercut them. It's not important to be the cheapest in town. It's important to be the best with the best reputation, and then you can justify those costs. Our services, we charge $55 per hour on a non-holiday and $65 per hour on a holiday. And then for our newborn care specialists, those pricings go up by $10 per hour.
Okay. Another question. How do you reach out to a hotel or business you're interested in working with?
That's a great question. So I love to go in person. I think it's really important for them to see your face, and they can't just put you on hold or, say that they'll give the message to somebody else. I make a lot of visits to casinos, and I never show up empty-handed. I always come with collateral from my business, information, and then gifts for the concierge. I always try to schedule a meeting while I'm there with someone who is a decision maker. I also do my research before I ever even go to the hotel and contact risk management departments and tell them that I am a preferred vendor, and that with many casinos in town, and I'm interested in a partnership with them and how I could explore something like that. And I don't just show up at the desk one time. I've gotten a ton of no's in my life. So if I go and I don't meet the right person, I go the following week and I talk to somebody different. The more they see you, the more that they recognize you, then the more likely they'll be, to get you approved. Those concierge associations and Chamber of Commerce are a really, really good resource as well, because all of the hotel partners will be at those meetings. So it's in an environment where people are already prepared to network, they're already prepared to meet vendors. So if you have a connection to an association or a chamber of commerce, definitely join those. That's been one of the best avenues I've taken.
Okay. Um, Another question. Are your sitters employed by you?
No, we operate on an independent contractor model. For placements, we do have the families employ sitters, but for our temporary sitter service, they are independent contractors.
Okay. Another question for the activity bags, how do you get those items to the sitters?
So we always do an in-person training at our office before they're ever able to go out and work for one of our clients. It's about an hour and a half policy and procedure training, and they'll get a company t-shirt, they'll get an activity bag. We make the bags here in our office with my team. We go to the dollar store. We try to do it, as inexpensively as possible, or we'll buy things in bulk. And we'll just make sure that we have, a deck of cards if it's an older child, bubbles, Play-Doh, different fun things to put in that bag. We always also encourage the sitter to, make those trips herself too and add to the bag if she has things, that she thinks would make the kiddos have a good time. Arts and crafts are always a hit, and parents really like that because it kind of shows that we're not just plopping the kids in front of the television or relying on screen time, that the sitters are actually interacting and engaging with the children.
Great. Another question, how do you handle meals while a sitter is working? Do you require the family to feed them if they are there for a long shift over a meal, or do you ask the sitters to bring their own food?
We always tell our sitters to be prepared for anything. So they should go, make sure they have a phone charger, make sure that they have their own activity in case the child's sleeping, make sure that they have a lunch packed. We do tell them, not to pack high allergy foods just in case, there's allergies in the room, never to bring peanuts or anything, never to share the food with the children. But we also understand that if a family offers, for them to order room service or order a pizza or something for the kiddos and they offer to feed the sitter, we tell them, of course, be respectful, don't order the steak and lobster, but, it's okay if a family offers to feed you.
Got it. Okay. This is a question about staffing and scheduling. How do you structure the work schedules of your office employees to make sure the phone is always picked up?
I have no life. I usually I have a full team here. I have four people in my office. We take turns. We really support each other a lot. If I'm on vacation or if I'm busy, we have used virtual assistants to, call centers to screen calls, but I really don't gravitate towards that approach. I honestly just leave my phone on. Most of the concierge desks close at about 9 p.m., so it's rare that I'll get a lot of concierge requests after 9 p.m. So I really only have to be available 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. But I do still keep my phone on just in case, there's ever an emergency or, a last minute VIP request because some of those VIP and butler departments, those calls can come in, especially if it's an international guest quite late. But we just made a decision that I was always going to be available.
Got it. Okay. Another question. How do you become a preferred vendor?
So sometimes a concierge will have you sign a contract with the casino that you're working with. It will kind of list what their expectations and requirements are, what their commission structure that they're expecting are. Sometimes it's a handshake. Sometimes they don't do contracts. A lot of times, another way that I got my foot in the door is sometimes guests would tell me that they needed a nanny, and I would still CC the concierge. I would still pay the concierge a commission bonus, even though I was not a preferred vendor. I would just send them a check and I would say, hey, this guest booked at your hotel. I want to make sure you get the credit for it. And by seeing me send those commissions checks and still keep them in the loop, even though the guest booked the reservation, I think that, gave the concierge a lot of confidence in making me an official preferred vendor.
Got it. Okay, we have a couple of questions around W-2 versus 1099. And someone said, I'm curious why you decided to do 1099 rather than W-2. And then a different person kind of asked a similar question that said, will the insurance and workers' comp cover independent contractors? So kind of
So
lumpy here, but
my business model was set up by my mom in 1987, and
yeah,
I kind of followed in her footsteps with a lot of her suggestions and how she chose to run the business. It's definitely more tax deductions for sitters to be an independent contractor, and a lot of these assignments, they're not full-time work, so they, don't really fall under W-2 qualifications. Some of these assignments are 4 or 5 hours, and I have sitters that may work once or twice a month. They get to pick when they work. They can say no at any time to a position. So I do follow independent contractor law, so that I'm in compliance. But it's just been a better fit for my agency specifically to, follow that structure.
Okay. Are you aware of whether if a nanny were to get hurt, whether workers' comp or some sort of, insurance would pay for that? Or
So
or has that
we
come up? I'm
have
curious.
we do have special insurance that would cover a nanny under an independent contractor model if something was to happen. But they can also purchase their own. If you talk to your own insurance agent and tell them that you're on an independent contractor model, they can give you advice. I'm not an insurance expert, so I kind of put it into their hands and made sure that they knew my business model and my structure and how to protect the sitters and the families and my agency.
Okay. This person asked, I know this will differ from agency to agency, but what is your percentage out of the hourly rate?
So we do about a 50-50 split for the agency and the contractor. Sometimes on holidays, we pay our contractors a little bit more and we take the hit. But I think you'd have to do research in your market at what and the Annie's expecting to make. And then what still makes sense for, your ROI. Typically we pay, our nannies $25 an hour and up. And we do encourage families to tip. So there's extra incentives there. And then they do get the free parking as well.
Okay. Someone asked, you mentioned approaching hotels several times. At what interval, weekly, monthly, what else is included in your vendor packet?
So we send out our newsletters monthly and we issue commission checks monthly. I do in-person visits now at this point since I'm pretty looped in with the market in Las Vegas. I visit them quarterly. In the beginning, I was going every day. Every day I was going and visiting a different property until I had my foot in the door and I was getting consistent referrals from that property. I think it kind of just really depends on the volume that you're doing and how many bookings you're getting, whether you can kind of back off and they know you. But even if I can't visit the property, sometimes I'll just pick up the phone, call and ask for the chef and, say hi and do a check-in.
Okay. Somebody said, sorry if I missed hotel commission details. Can you briefly go over that? Do you pay hotels a commission per booking? That's the 10% referral fee
Yes, we
that's
do a
involved.
10% commission on hotel reservations. We keep a list of each property that we work with. We even pay that commission even if the assignment is canceled, even if the guest books directly, we give them credit. So the concierge and the hotels are really happy to work with us because, we make sure that they get credit where credit is due.
Got it.
And
Okay.
if a property does not accept commissions, in a monetary format, we still track the amount of commission that we would have paid them and what would have been due to them. And then we pour that money into some sort of an event or catered lunch or some sort of treat for the concierge, or raffle. A lot of times we'll raffle our services to the concierge. We also give 40% off to our concierge partners for, any private bookings that they may need for their household. So we definitely try to, take care of the concierge.
Got it. Uh, okay, I think we've gotten through all of the questions. Unless I'll give, yeah, it looks like it's slowed down. So I guess with that, we can wrap up. Sarah, I want to thank you so much for sharing your expertise and being here today. I know everybody got a lot out of it, and not easy to take time out of your very busy day, 24/7 day to share this, but we really appreciate it. And
Oh, it's my pleasure. And I did include my Calendly link if anybody needs, more advice or, wants to set up a consultation with me to chat directly. I can definitely give them, a better blueprint for help with this kind of niche market. I do know it's challenging and a little overwhelming in the beginning, so I'm definitely available.
Okay. Hey, I did see one question that if it said, how often do you pay the sitters at the end of each shift or weekly?
We pay our commissions once a month. Pay our sitters bi-weekly, um,
Okay.
twice a week. Yeah, twice a month. Sorry.
Got it. Okay. All right. So you shared your link. I guess that's it. Thank you everyone for attending. We'll have a May webinar and we'll announce the details of that. But like always, if you have ideas for topics or speakers, please pass that along to Kelly. We would love to make sure that we're hitting on topics that are interesting to you. So
Thank you
with
so
that,
much.
I'll wrap. Yeah, Sarah, thank you so much again for being here, and thanks for everyone for attending. We will see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye
Take
bye.
care.